Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the URC semi-finals. This one, Glasgow taking on the Bulls. It's going to be hard hitting. These two sides normally pretty close in terms of their recent scores. Seen Glasgow knock the Bulls out of the Champions Cup. We've seen them at times in the past even knock them out of the URC, but this is a big opportunity for these two sides. The Bulls look stacked on paper. Glasgow up for the challenge, but they're at a different location than where they normally are. The elephant in the room is the fact that I almost have no voice. We're working on that. Hopefully it does warm up as this match progresses, and by the end of it, you wouldn't even have noticed that it sounded all croaky at the start. But this game has taken place in around 18 minutes time, ladies and gents. It'll be hard hitting, and also on the real turf of Murrayfield rather than Glasgow's home ground. Might be a little bit more of an equaling factor between these two sides. Looking through at the way that it sits, ladies and gentlemen, it is this contest, Glasgow versus the Bulls. The winner of this game will face the winner of Leinster versus Stormers. Now, theoretically, if both favourites were to win those two games, it would be a home game in Scotland for the Glasgow Warriors. If Leinster were able to get themselves the victory and the Bulls can cause the upset, we're heading then to Ireland. But their final has taken place in only 2 weeks' time, and we get to see who can be crowned as the best side in the United Rugby Championship for 2026. Looking through at the way that the quarterfinals went, we saw Glasgow get themselves the win over Connacht. We saw the Bulls, they managed to get the victory over Munster, 45 points to 14. So neither of those sides having a hugely close game, although you could argue Glasgow up against Connacht were tested at times. It's just down to the way that Connacht have been able to finish out their competition on a high. And then also on the other side of the draw, Stormers getting the win over Cardiff, Leinster beating Lions by 49. Nothing really giving away anything there. And we could see two relatively close games for the for the semi-finals taking place in the near future. We have got in the comments, we got there, I hope you get your voice back. I hope so too, to be honest. We've got another game just around the corner, Leinster versus the Stormers. That one will be kicking off at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time, I should say. At the moment, we are sitting currently 1:14 a.m. here in New Zealand. As everyone supporting New Zealand now says, Mohadeen, not at this stage. It was only for that one game of the sevens where New Zealand wanted support from South Africa, or the South Africans wanted to support the Kiwis. Now it's back to everyone all playing for each other, playing for their own nations. In the seven setup, who do you think will win this game? To be honest, a hard one to pick. I think that with this one not taking place at Scotstoun, it makes it a little bit more intriguing. Because Glasgow at Scotstoun have a brilliant record. Glasgow at Murrayfield, a little bit of a different equation. We haven't seen that too often. Up against Edinburgh in the 1844 Cup, I think it's called. It's way back in the old school days in terms of the year anyway. But yeah, doesn't happen too often. It will be in front of the big crowd. And today they will Jimbo over Glasgow, says Julian Moses. And I say the Bulls, but I don't know, man, says Salah. Yeah. It's a very difficult one to pick this game. I should say Bulls come in as underdogs, but I don't think we can take that too much into consideration. Both of these sides are good enough to win on their day. We'll look through at some of the recent form as well, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, with the home side Glasgow, they were able to get themselves the win over Cardiff in the URC only at the start of May. They then beat Ulster in a close fixture. That game pretty much shut down Ulster's chances of making it through to the next stage of the competition. And then also alongside that, Connacht, that most recent game in the quarterfinals, Glasgow winning at 33 points to the 21 in terms of the Bulls. They've been on quite some run of form just as of late. I don't know why that sentence was so stop-start along the way, but the Bulls beating Zebre, they beat Benetton. We're not doing that. And the Bulls also beating Munster in the quarterfinal in there too. But it's the way that their games recently sit. 45 points at least have been the last little while scores for the Bulls. Looking at the overall standings and the way that the table sat, as you can see, top four made it through to the semi-finals. That is what we've seen in Super Rugby. It's probably what we're going to see in a couple other competitions around the world also. But yeah, the points differential is definitely one to look at. As you can see there, Glasgow plus 141, Leinster plus 145, plus 160 for both the South African teams. But it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for this game. I am smiling. Once again, I apologise for my voice. It sounds like I've been run over or on the throatal region by a truck. But Yeah, I think it's definitely going to warm up as we go into this matchup. But we'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. We have got there just more Glasgow Nation. Scotstoun Stadium holds like 7,000 people. Way more people going to be here, says Kahu. I'm sorry, but their form is not as good as people say, beating not very good teams. Says Kahu, you're talking about the Bulls or you're talking about the Glasgow side? And Argentina lost to the Kiwis means they will win the championship. Argentina losing, yeah, pretty much opens up the door completely for the South Africans. Afternoon, folks. I'm still undecided, says Jimbo. I think that's the best way to be, though, heading into a semi-final, having not a huge amount of confidence in either side to get the victory. I think that Leinster versus Stormers, it will feel a little bit the same around the corner too. But in this scenario where there is that unpredictability factor, I think that that's the best thing possible for a URC competition. I'm talking about the Bulls beating Zebra and Benetton and not or other not good teams. So you're saying Glasgow's your favourite then, Kahu? I feel like the trend that I've noticed is no matter what happens, if someone is playing Glasgow, no matter what compliment goes to the other team, you pretty much try and discredit it. I know you're a Glasgow man through and through, so I'll ask for your score prediction here. How are they going to go? Are they going to get themselves a big victory here at Murrayfield? Or is it going to be close? How long until it starts? We are sitting 12 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest. How's it, Hamish? Doing very well, Yanko. Did you see the surprise of the Blitzbox 15? Did you see the surprise of the Blitzbox 15? No. What was the surprise of the Blitzbox 15? An afternoon, Hamish. Thanks again, mate. Says Joss, no worries. But yeah, we will have the voice as this match progresses on. There's going to be a lot of this drunk today. But hopefully, it's going to slowly kick in a little bit more as it progresses. So many exciting players on show today. Absolutely. How's it, Hamish? Says Clint D. Are they playing Fiji again? Yeah, they are. Taking on the Fijians in the quarterfinal. That one's going to be kicking off in around about 40 minutes' time. We will be giving you a little updates along the way. No guessing game today, I presume. And without anything to win, it's really fun. Says Yanko. So yeah, that was just the last weekend thing. Just a bit of a trial run for those guys. Which I think they were happy enough in terms of how it ended up going. How's the weather at Murrayfield today for this game? I think in about 10 minutes, or maybe not 10 minutes, sorry, but in about 5 minutes or so, they will start up the coverage for us here in New Zealand. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's a nice weather day. We had a couple games in Super Rugby affected by rain, which hopefully is not going to be the case for these URC semi-finals. Sano's Team 50, Glasgow 20, and come on the Bulls, says Paul Oosthuizen. And all the Bulls subs, there we go. We'll go like that, and you will be able to see it. We have there Mako van Staden, Jan Hendrik Vessels, Wilco Low, Kovas Visa, Jandre Rudolph, Zach Berger, Stedman Hans, and then also Nassim Kar. So a bit of a split there for this Bulls side in terms of the 6-2. On that little bit more aggressive for this contest. But anyone who hasn't already, be sure to let me know your score predictions. This one 10 minutes away from the start. Been raining in Ireland for a week now. Also, that Stormers versus Leinster game may be dealing with a little bit of rain. Hopefully, Murrayfield's that little bit more dry. If Glasgow make the final, it's going to be a very big crowd. Says Kahu, you'd hope so for a final. Good afternoon, Hamish. You're looking a bit better. Looking better, sounding worse, I think is the way that I would summarize it. And yeah, hopefully it will kick in a little bit more. I'll probably have to talk throughout the gap between these two URC semi-finals or else my voice will be completely gone. We have there, how's the Stormers game, rain or not? Potentially rain by the sounds of the Aviva. And it's raining here in Ireland. So let's hope it will stop for Leinster versus Stormers. The Bulls, one try at a time. And also we have got, when was the last time Glasgow hosted the final? Says Kahu, no idea. To be honest, you're the Glasgow man, Kahu. Surely you should have that on the back of your palm. And we have got there sunny but cold. And wind and Cape Town, says Ruth there as well. But just looking through and what is to come in this competition, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the semi-final stage. Does mean the winner of this matchup will be going head-to-head with the winner of Leinster versus the Stormers. That game is happening in 3 hours' time. As you can see, the home field advantage for Leinster does put them in as quite the favourite, as well as that record that they've been able to possess in Ireland. South African sides haven't had the best record travelling-wise. Actually, one of the better travellers was the Lions out of all the teams. But Glasgow versus the Bulls, it is considered much more 50-50. Glasgow just that little bit more of a favourite heading into this match. As you can see, the final is going to be taking place in 2 weeks' time. We will be covering that one on the channel as well. Here they are, Hamish, go the Bulls. Do you have another virus? Same man for still doing the commentary. Says, so yeah, unfortunately, I've been collecting colds this year like they're going out of fashion. I think we're up to about 4 this year already. So, yeah, it's a skill for all the wrong reasons, I would say. And I, Hamish, from Northern England. Says, Ronnie there, welcome in. I lost my clanger for my cowbell. Good thing I won't need it until next year, says Jasmine. And also here I've got there, howdy Hamish, and everyone says, Studs Rays, welcome in. And lots of points, 30 plus for both. And the Bulls 45, Glasgow 32. So Seki thinking along those same lines of a high-scoring game between these two teams. We know how dangerous they can be on the points department. We have actually seen it time and time again. And 160 points differential for this Stormers side, for this Bulls side. About 141 for Glasgow. What's the weather like at New Zealand? It's been raining here the last about 3 days, so it hasn't been great. We'll be covering the South Africa Barbarians game on the 20th of June, as long as it doesn't overlap with the game taking place of the URC final. I'd like to think that they would try and make it so that it doesn't overlap, but you just never know with the ones doing the schedule. You there, Hamish, you need a spicy woman and hot whiskey with honey and garlic. Glasgow needs to compete in the scrums and not give the Bulls dominance in the forward pack. And also, Glasgow might win off their defence, and it's better than the Bulls, says Kahu. And I'm only up because it's the Sevens, and the AB Sevens are actually won all 3 of their pool games. Yeah, they've actually gone well, haven't they? The AB Sevens, something that they haven't been able to say for quite a bit of time. You don't South Africa Zimbabwe, once again, depends on if it overlaps with the URC final. More than likely, I think that game will overlap with the final, though. Unless, of course, they decide to do it as a Saturday morning game here in New Zealand, maybe. But I think they'll go for prime time and the best possible window that they can. And currently dry on the continent. But it's been a wet week. I'm not surprised that it's still wet in Ireland, says Yanko. It's going to be tight. I think 5 points in it, says Robert. And Honeycomb to open the scoring at the back of the scrum/maul. Warriors to score in the next 2 tries. See, I'd love to see a back and forth type of matchup here. It's something that in the Super Rugby playoffs we haven't really had, with the exception of Chiefs versus Reds for the first half, when it went a bit in either side's direction. But then every other game has been one-sided. You know, the Crusaders dominated up against the Blues, even though the Blues managed to score themselves in the 30s for the points. Crusaders got over the 50. The Hurricanes, they scored their biggest ever amount. It was up against the Brumbies. I'm picking Glasgow to win defence. And if they get good set piece off their lineouts, hopefully a classic close one. Says Studs Rays, and who's in the semis of the Sevens. Sevens semis haven't been confirmed yet. But we will give you Sevens updates throughout this matchup, as all 4 of the quarterfinals are actually taking place for the men during this contest, including Fiji taking on the South Africans. What's the weather like where the Bulls are playing? So at Murrayfield, by the looks of it, it looks pretty nice. I think it might be a little bit overcast, but I don't see any rain around at the moment. Holly is refereeing Leinster, says Jimbo. And scrums will suit the Bulls on Murrayfield. Yeah, they won't have to deal with that artificial turf that we are used to seeing in the Glasgow home games. But Glasgow have an incredible record at Scotstoun, which is why heading to this stadium, you know, things could change that a little bit more. But France versus Australia is about to take place for the men's quarterfinals of the Sevens. New Zealand have got Great Britain. That'll be an intriguing one because Great Britain are playing their socks off at the moment. We have got there, who's the ref and TMO? No idea yet. They will say it in a very short moment when the 2 sides make their way out onto the field, though. And also, the Bulls have a great pack. So, yeah, it's Daryl. Hopefully, there won't be any cards, as give one team an advantage, says Anthony. Yeah, it's been quite a card-heavy day. We saw a few cards in the Sevens. We saw a red card in the Blues Crusaders game. Saw a couple cards in the Crusaders Reds game. Hopefully, we don't have anything like that. The Chiefs Reds game. Hopefully nothing like that Satiti injury. That was a bit of a scary one. The man had a seizure on the field after getting knocked out by his teammate's head. But hopefully no big stoppages, no big injuries here for either of these sides, because at the end of the day, 2 weeks in, or 2 weeks from now, they have to do it all again. I hope the final is in Cape Town, says Stormzy. Crusaders had a good one, says Daryl. We have got there, the South Africa versus Barbarians game is happening at 2 p.m. Irish time. It's the same time as this time. The final will maybe be 5 p.m. Yeah, hopefully it is a later game for the URC final. We have got there, very exciting, Hamish. Your voice is holding up okay. All accidental head clashes. What, the Rampling one's an accidental head clash, are you saying? That man had about a whole second or so to go lower into the tackle of Whainānuku. He thoroughly deserved his red card in that case. The jaw on Whainānuku to keep on going, though. I believe he's banned Hamish on YouTube for a year. I could ban you on YouTube for a year, Mohadeen, maybe. We'll do a bit of reverse psychology, perhaps. And then in a year's time, you can come back and say hi. We have there, Yo Fletchen, says Jimbo. Good afternoon, mate. And there from Fletchen as well. But currently 2 changes for this Glasgow lineup. Patrick Schickerling in the front row alongside Gregor Hiddleston and Xander Fagerson in the front row. Scott Cummings and Alex Samuel in the locking duo with Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge, and also Jack Dempsey slotting in as the number 8. George Horn is not starting at 9. A late change with Jamie Dobie coming into the starting side for the Glasgow Warriors. I'm not sure what the extent is of why Horn is out. I assume maybe sickness or something along those lines. Kyle Rowe, Kyle Stain, Josh Mackay as the back 3 with Sione Tuipulotu and Stafford McDowell is in there as the midfield combo. Looking through at the Bulls starting lineup, I've just had the realisation I didn't actually read off the teams at the start of the live stream. Very slack from myself, but Gerhard Stennekamp in the front row with Johan Krobela and Francois Klopper as the 3, Ruan Vermaak and Ruan Nokia in the locking duo with Marcel Kutsia, Elric Lowe and Cameron Honeycomb sorting in as that number 8. Ambroise Papier and Andre Pollard in the 19 combination. Pollard will look to take the points when they are available for this Bulls side, even though they've been aggressive throughout the rest of their URC matches. Sravino Jacobs out on the left wing, Harold Foster and Kanan Moody in the midfield with Kutli Aronsa and Vili Larue to close out the starting lineup. We have a pretty good crowd for a semi. As they make the final, it will be nearly sold out, says Kahu. And the Bulls would win today, says Kevin. And also, hello Hamish, says Kevin there. Welcome in. Now let's all take a wild guess where Glasgow's loosehead is from, says Yanko. Schickerling. Is South African. I know that normally what happens is when a South African overseas plays well, they get claimed by South Africa. When they have a bad game, everyone turns their back on them and says, we don't even know him. So I'd assume that he is South African, and he's probably had a pretty decent season to get to start in that number 1 jersey. I'm a fan of Rampling, but he got no excuse. Says Studs Race, yeah, he just went too high into that challenge. We have got there 2 very good teams, Hamish. My heart says Glasgow by 3, but my head says Bulls by 3. So yeah, either way, you're going for a close old game in that scenario. But Johan Krobela leads his side out onto the field. He's actually Namibian, but close enough, says Yanko. We have got there only Super Rugby next week, says Mohadeen. I think Premiership may have games next week in the top 14 as well, don't they? In terms of their playoff matches. Well, Hurricanes had an epic win this morning. Yeah, massive victory over the Brumbies. In that case, Marcel Kutsia is out there, also on the field. There's a few veterans in this Bulls lineup. This is why Glasgow will have to be on their A game. The Kiwis does the same. The expat slow. How's James Lowe nowadays? Says Neil Bester. Yeah, see, I think they only claim James Lowe when New Zealand play Ireland. That seems to be the one that Gibson Park also gets that name thrown around. But, it's one of those ones, if someone's doing well, people go, yep, we know him. He's from way back. He's one of the boys. If they're doing badly, people go, no, we don't know him. We don't know who that player is. But that's one of those situations how you want to be going well, because then all of a sudden you have another country supporting you. And we have got there Glasgow by 12 today. Scottish weather will help, says Steve Ando. And Crusaders and the Chiefs had a brilliant game. New Zealand Rugby all the way, says Lawrence. Premiership Rugby is at 4:15 p.m, says Mohadeen. We have got Crusaders can actually take Super Rugby Pacific. Yeah, although they've got to beat the Chiefs in Waikato to be able to do so. You're only as good as the last game, as they say, says Big Rig. And as a Hamish, Craig from St. Francis Bay is back from work and back into the rugby. And Peter Aki is not performing in Super as he did in top 14. And as this game not started, they have just got the countdown clock going now. And the Bulls with Andre Pollard will kick it off from left to right. And we are underway for the URC semi-finals. Bulls taken nicely inside of the 22 for Glasgow's number 6, Matt Fagerson. Kiwi's just on another level when it comes to club rugby, says Neil Bester. Now, it's awkward charge down there. Ball does bounce back onto the side of Glasgow, but there was half a second where it looked like the Bulls were going to be able to get themselves the early turnover. Seems like they've let off a few fireworks at Murrayfield. They did that in the Crusaders Stadium with a roof. They very quickly learned that wasn't the best idea because it's quite hard to get the smoke out of the equation. But a good clearing kick from Jamie Dobie, the late inclusion into this lineup for the Glasgow Warriors after Horn was ruled out. But it was the charge down from Ruan Nokia initially that had put on that little bit of extra pressure. Line out throw here for the Bulls with Johan Krobala. Their two Fergusons have to be related, right? I believe they're brothers. Matt and Xander, both representing Scotland at the international level. Ball dropped by the Bulls, a knock on and the breakdown from Harold Foster. And it will give the early scrum to the Glasgow Warriors. Scrums have been a big talking point heading into this contest as to whether or not Glasgow will be able to compete. The Bulls have prided themselves on a dominant scrum throughout this URC season. So it would be quite the statement early if Glasgow can win themselves the penalty here, just to show that they can hold their own. Can I watch Blitzbox quickly and come back to the Bulls game? Yes. Go for it. Although it does start in about 15 minutes' time. Typical South African start. Which one, the charge down or the knock on? We're now 100 seconds into this contest. And it is going to be a scrum reset. I've seen some South African sides actually not mind dropping the ball because normally they win the scrum penalty anyway. And my girlfriend said that I'm useless at fixing appliances. Says Bruce. And the British summer is great. 35 degrees and sunny last weekend. 20 and pissing down this weekend. Oh, with the knock on. Says Samuel. And Andrew Brace, the referee in charge of the semi-final. The first of two that are taking place today. The next one will be the Stormers up against Leinster at the Aviva. It is a solid push from the Bulls. The ball comes out the back for the Glasgow Warriors, but only just. The Bulls jumping all over it. Now looking for the steal and the breakdown. They will get the penalty, though, for the side entry from the Bulls. We have to tell her to fix the damn appliance then if she's going to be like that, says Big Rig. But it was the big push of the second surge, as they've called it, from the Bulls. I think they've said that Cameron Honeycomb is the man who's been penalised. Which final would be a closer affair, Leinster versus the Bulls, Glasgow versus Leinster, Glasgow versus Stormers, or Stormers versus Bulls. I'd say probably either Glasgow Leinster or Stormers versus Bulls would be the closer ones out of the two. First half of that scrum went just fine, says Thuds Race. Ball claimed now by Glasgow around the halfway line. Charging forward was Sione Tuipulotu. Last thing that you want if you are either of these sides is any sort of early injury. The Bulls have gone with that 6-2 split off of their bench. Whereas the opposition, although to be fair, they've actually gone 6-2-2. Glasgow, ball on the outside of Kyle Stain. He goes for the grubber in behind. This one in the massive in-goal areas of Edinburgh will be the goal line dropout after Billy LaRue forces it down. Hello, Mr. Kiwisu, how are you? Says Tyler. And hey, lads, anyone know where to watch this game for free? There aren't a huge amount of free options around, unfortunately. That might be free to air in Scotland, maybe. But a lot of other options are URC TV, Super Sport, and all those paid subscriptions. It's going to be a goal line dropout for Andre Pollard. The back area is absolutely huge. Yeah, which both sides can use to their advantage here if they do kick the ball a little bit deeper. Jack Dempsey kind of galloping up to take the collision. Now backline movements. Ioni Tuipulotu not quite able to go through. Johan Krobala, he looked like he was locked onto the ball, but he doesn't quite win the penalty. Now back across. The hands of Matt Ferguson. Some great physicality being shown early from this Bulls side. Now a wide cut out pass from Lancaster, not taken cleanly by Dempsey, but somehow that ball almost stayed in the field of play till it just rolls over the sideline. Let's watch some Fiji. At what time? They are playing in about 16 minutes. Currently, France are beating Australia in the quarterfinals 12-0, by the way. That is quite a significant margin. Although not a big enough margin in a game of sevens. Of course, we've seen it time and time again where a side can come back. The ball just sitting on the sideline when Josh Mackay tried to pick it up. Now line out here for Johan Krobala. Gets it into the front, into the hands of Ruan Nokia. Now Marcel Kutsia, tackle around the halfway line, a little bit high from Rory Dash. Now Ambrose Papier going for the chip in behind. It bounces awkwardly, but well cleaned up by the Glasgow Warriors in the end, although pressure now coming on to Josh Mackay. And a penalty awarded to the Bulls. Right, this is straight out in front of the post. Pollard normally slots these over with his eyes closed. How aggressive are we going to see the Bulls here in semi-final rugby? I think that you got to take the points when they're available. First time there will be no South African team in the finals. It's a cool story. I wouldn't guarantee that. I think that the Bulls are well and truly in this fight so far. And Stormers, who knows what they're going to do up against Leinster. I should get a line out. Here's Dennis. And we have got there who called Andre to score first. Here's Jimbo. And also, we have got there my call. Here's Daryl. Yeah, they're going to take on the 3 points here with Andre Pollard. Yeah, it's nice of you to say, Hamish. What did I say? I don't even remember. Oh, with the fact that they might still be in there. Now Pollard adds the additional 3, as he always does. Well, most of the time. I don't want to jinx him here, but the Bulls do take the lead early on at Edinburgh. At Murrayfield, we should say. Normally, Glasgow play at Scotstoun, where they've got an impeccable record. And they've only suffered, I believe it's the 3 defeats along the way. They kicked off deep into Bulls territory. Well taken. Now, hitting this ball up was Eldrick Lowe. The Iceman opens up the scoring, says Jimbo. There won't be too many easier kicks for Pollard either today than that one. It was about 20 metres out, straight out in front. Glasgow managing to slap that ball back onto their side. Round the halfway line now. Looking for the steal and the breakdown. The Bulls got pretty close there. Blaze Rugby Stream, so it is available on URC TV, Super Sport. I think those are your main broadcast options. Dobie. On a way to the left-hand side, Lancaster tries to get the fend. But is dragged down. They've got numbers here on the short side of the field. The chip in behind here from Kyle Rowe. Ball bouncing back infield. Pollard is there to be able to clean it up and does kick it downfield with the intention of keeping it in the field of play and has done nicely. 8 minutes into this contest, still 3-0 in favour of the Bulls. Josh Mackay gets it back into the half of the Bulls. And also go the Bulls. Says Verner, now inside ball from Rowe, close to the sideline. Dempsey just kept in the field of play. The big 2-man tackle on Patrick Schickerling. Now Sione Tuipulotu passes it on again out to Kyle Rowe. Just stays in the field of play as Nokia manages to pull him down. Now back across to Xander Ferguson. That almost looked like half by an extended forearm in the way that he hit that collision. But going away to the right. Now Rowe stepping nicely. It's about his forefront already of the early stages of this contest. Ferguson trying to get those quick stepping feet going too. They move up to 30 metres out. Xander Ferguson. And about 25 metres out from the line. Dobie moves it on to Tuipulotu. Oh, is that deliberate? I think it might be, and it is going to be the yellow card for Andre Pollard here. As they've said, he was in no position to be able to catch that ball. So a yellow card, a big call early against the South African 10. And 6:30 here in South Africa, says Tyler. In terms of what time that Stormers versus Leinster match will be taking place. We see it there, the pass on the outside, Pollard, just the extended hand, and he knew it as soon as he did it. He kind of pulled it back afterwards. You told us that the Bulls were today, you're shaving your head, growing your beard out like a biker. Just wanted to tell you I respect your decision, says Xander. I didn't quite remember saying that. I don't think I'd be able to grow out a beard like a biker. This is about as long as my beard gets, unfortunately, before it gets all scruffy. He knew it too. Yeah, he pulled away as soon as he did it. But unfortunately, that was just half a second too late. Going for a line out, not the post. Correct. Yeah, Glasgow looking to be aggressive here in the early stages with the man advantage. Sione Tuipulotu passes it off there. The short ball to Stafford McDowell. It's a tactic that we're seeing from Glasgow all throughout the year. The ball is loose. It's going to be Carrubbed forward. And, of course, with the massive in-goal areas. Oh, Moody, a bit of an interesting choice there to try and run this ball out. It has taken a risk well and truly, but he's created an angle. And to be able to kick it downfield is better than mine, says Fleshin. Currently about 7 metres out from their own line here. The Bulls without Pollard. And you can tell Polly knew immediately. Yeah, he kind of put the hand out. It touched his hand and he went, and kind of pulled it back in with a clenched fist. Hasn't found touch. Glasgow now. They did turn down the 3 points just before, but can they turn it into 7 here? Kyle Steyn collides with Elric Lowe. Yeah, look at there. Silly mistake by Pollard. Could be costly. So here's Anthony. Now Dobie. Oh, tackle off the ball there. On across to Sione Tui Pilotu. He's gone for the kick and behind. It seems like a tactic that Glasgow have been using quite a bit here. But it just doesn't seem like it's actually working as of yet. Let's go the Bulls, says Natty. Did Polly get a yellow? He did indeed, yes. He will be off the field for another 8 minutes or so. I think Glasgow need to stop with this kicking behind for now. And the Bulls seem to have a player back every single time, and they've got plenty of pace in their back three to be able to get back there as well, worst case scenario. But LaRue managed to get that one into touch. Oh. Okay, Andrew Brace was just given a little bit of a rundown of the line out, but it is the Bulls line out after the touch of the Glasgow player. Who's kicking now? At this stage, I would say they'll probably give it to Villy LaRue, but they haven't had to go for a kick yet. Bros Papier. His kick was almost charged down by the diving Alex Samuel. That one's gone high by a long way, and it's a knock-on from the Glasgow Warriors. Bulls to win 40-point score, says Key Clock. What would I have to do for you to be willing for that trade? Which trade are we talking? I think I missed one. I just ordered a regular Coke with ice. So here's Ruth. Currently 12 minutes into this contest. The Bulls are leading 3 points to 0. Undercom to take over Quacker's role in the Bok hybrid role. Don't know. I feel like I would say if you're looking at that Quacker Smith impact type of guy, I feel like Honeycomb, he could be starting at times and then Visa the other games. I think someone like an Elric Lowe wouldn't be a terrible option because he can play all three positions as well as like a little tiny bit of lock if needed. So he could be really a utility type of player off of the bench if they're looking for someone with a bit of versatility. That one is going to be a knock-on from the Bulls. Glasgow back in position around the halfway line. Stephen McDowell with the skip pass out to Kyle Steyn, cutting back inwards. Gets through one. Honeycomb drags him down low. Now Dempsey back across to Ferguson. Rush defence from the Bulls. Although they're keeping these offloads coming here at the moment. Schickerling going to Stafford McDowell. It could be a wet one for the Leinster game. It's just been raining. Oh, that one's gone off the head of the Glasgow player, so it won't be a knock-on. As long as Quacker out. I'm not sure of the full time, but he's definitely going to be out for July, unfortunately, for Quacker Smith. LaRue again takes that ball calmly inside of his 22. Kicks it back down the field. How's that hit on Leicester this morning? I got to love it. I'm more impressed that Leicester stayed out there for the rest of the game. Like, he took a shot on the chin that would have put down some heavyweights. But he was fine, all going for the 50-22. Awkward bouncy ball. Arinsa under pressure, tackled low. Tries to get back up to go again, and he's been driven into touch. That was brilliant work from the Glasgow Warriors defenders. Great line speed by the Bulls defence. And out 7 months. See, here's Enzo. Yeah, so he's going to be away for a little while, isn't he, old Quacker? There's quite a few Boks with long-term injuries. Mr. Givisir, would you like to sponsor me $730 New Zealand dollars to buy myself a new camera, please? I'll give you a virtual hug or a high five. I think that's a fair trade. Well, I've been using this same webcam for about 4 years, so I haven't even spent $730 New Zealand dollars to buy myself a camera. So that should tell you where the channel's budget is. Down the Googler, unfortunately. But ball in the hand. Oh, hard landing for the Glasgow Warriors, and they've got themselves a penalty advantage because of it. Stafford McDowell going across. This is where Glasgow can be so dangerous. Ball on the outside to Kyle Steyn, running it for the corner, and he scores the try there, Steyn. And now is the first one of the semi-final, finding a gap on the outside. That classic quick Glasgow transitioning of the ball. That's Peter out for a year. I think he's out for the rest of the season too, isn't he? Oh, better Steph Toy. By the way, France are beating Australia in the Sevens quarterfinals, 26-0. That's not supposed to be happening. France beat Germany by 7, and Australia beat the Boks twice last week. So there's really a big change that is happening in the world of sevens at the moment. Fiji versus South Africa, that is 6 minutes away from kicking off in the sevens world. We will be keeping an eye on that one, ladies and gents. But Kyle Steyn has scored the first try. Playing on real grass is forcing Glasgow to play union, not their usual league approach. It's so unfair. Wait, so is it unfair to Glasgow or unfair to the Bulls? He's saying it's unfair to Glasgow for having to play on grass. That one has gone over. Brilliant kick from the sideline. And it's going to make the score now 7 points to 3. Glasgow strike plays from lineouts are very cool. Sears Studs race. Yeah, they just seem to have such a nice, crisp set piece. Everybody beats Aussie, nothing new. Sears Salah. Yeah, although last week they won the tournament, the Australians, so they didn't lose too many. I think they went undefeated last week. Hello, Hamish. Says Byron, welcome in. Hope you are going well. A big smile on the face of Kyle Stain there. You missed the joke, says Minky. The fact that I didn't notice it was a joke just shows you like the type of people we would normally have to deal with and the excuses we hear for certain sides. We've heard all of them. We've heard that the ball was only wet for one side. We've heard that someone's kit was too bright, that the opposition got put off by it. We've heard everyone in the book. So, like, honestly, the way that you said it sounded like something that someone would say. Last week was Valladolid. Where's the sevens now? It is in Bordeaux. We have you there. Bordeaux this weekend seems crazy. Somehow both USA sides are still unbeaten. Crazy, says Justin. Yeah, they beat Australia too, didn't they? Stravino Jacobs knocking that ball on after the box kick. And good Glasgow, says Lewis. Yeah, initially did all the hard work of being able to take it cleanly and then just ended up dropping it. Was that not forward or is it flat with momentum? Says Quads with Mods. Depends on who's calling them. There was one game a few weeks ago in the URC where I think they just turned forward passes off because there was probably about 5 and none of them got called. I'll probably be in the hospital when Chiefs versus the Crusaders happens on Friday. We'll need a VPN. Yeah, because you'll be able to watch it potentially on YouTube, right? Well, you might be able to watch it on YouTube without a VPN, maybe. And go the Blue Bulls, says Tanya there. Good morning from Jacksonville, Florida. From Pam. Do you think the Bulls? And when is Len playing? Len. See, the only Len I can think of is Len Ikitau. But I think you're talking about Leinster, right? But they are playing in about, must be 2 hours, 40 minutes time. So just under the 3 hour mark. Good afternoon from Bloemfontein. Now the scrum has gone in, well controlled at the back by the Glasgow Warriors who look to get the attack going again. A massive gap opens up. The draw and pass is perfect at the moment. Chance for Kyle Rowe running down the wing. I saw one of the Glasgow players was calling for a kick in behind, but that wouldn't have been a good idea because they've tried that a couple of times and it has backfired. But the Bulls are still playing with 14 men on the field. And the backline movement, here it goes again for Glasgow. Tuipulotu, draw and pass out to Kyle Stain. He'll get the double and he runs this one around too. Glasgow, their backline is on fire early on at Murrayfield. Yolda Hamish from Cape Town, are you doing the Stormers game too? We certainly are. That one taking place in that 2 hours, 40-minute time. USA will be in the top 5 nations in 20 years. All the South Africans going there now, says Click Nation. Is there a big crowd? It's decent. It's definitely not sold out, unfortunately, but maybe for the final it would be. Of course, we've got to remember, no matter what happens in this game as well, if Glasgow win, no matter what happens in the other game, I should say, we are still going to see the final being in Scotland. The ads are annoying me listening to an interesting conversation, and then the ad pops up. Says Henny. Yeah, I think YouTube pick where they go in. I honestly don't know how it works. I should, because we've been doing this for like 5 years, but like, I still don't know what half the buttons do in terms of on the YouTube studio. I just select it the same way that I normally do through my streaming software, and YouTube kind of do the rest. Maybe they are whoever has the most points go to the final, and if so, who are the Stormers playing later? Do you know the point standing as it is now? So pretty much whoever wins this game goes through to the final, and then the Stormers, they are playing Leinster in a couple hours' time. We have you there, hey Kiwi. I've been watching you for a while. Thoughts on Super Rugby dying out? Or a chance to see it back in its prime. Depends on who you talk to. Because, you know, some people are saying that viewership's going down for Super Rugby. Then last year they announced that it had the highest viewership that it's ever had in terms of the official numbers. So, like, it just depends on who you talk to, how they feel about the competition as a whole. Like, I think that the New Zealand sides being in the semi-finals, all 4 of them being from New Zealand, it wouldn't surprise me if the conversation started up again about a Super Rugby AU. It was talked about being funded by a man in Western Australia, a billionaire, and maybe it's the best chance for Australia to have a competition that they can win and play consistently in. We have their crisp play. People always underestimate Glasgow despite their record. Yeah, they're one of those sides that you underestimate at your own risk, and they've managed to get a steal there on the breakdown. Again, 20 minutes through this contest, leading 14 points to 3. Tui Pilotu going for the kick in behind here, but again, the Bulls just have men back, and he sets up Billy LaRue for a 50-22, but the mark taken by Glasgow by Dan Lancaster. Pollard should be back now, and he is. He's made his way back out onto the field. A costly 10 minutes in the bin for Andre Pollard. Game over, says Haino. They're only 20 minutes through. Yeah, Bulls boys aren't completely out of this one yet, but they would need to be the next team to score, I would say. I should have known this would happen. Bulls can only win at home, says Minky. And also Glasgow, a tough outfit, not fancy, just bloody efficient. Yeah, and they just work away nicely throughout a game. And they make some great decisions on the attack, and when they get that draw and pass going, it's just so perfectly timed. Whoever wins this game goes through, and the Stormers game, says Reiko. So no matter what happens here, if Glasgow win this game, they would host the final. If the Bulls win, there is no way they can host the final. So it pretty much comes down to if Bulls win this game, whoever wins the Leinster Stormers game hosts. If the Glasgow Warriors win this game, no matter what, they are hosting the winner of that next game. I know we won't win, but throwing it away in the first 20 minutes, very annoying. Says Haino, now passed across to Johan Robela. And another penalty awarded to the Glasgow Warriors, just going straight and off the feet there for Marcel Kutsia. So much sports happening, hockey finals, NBA finals, NRL late rounds, URC late rounds, and the Soccer World Cup on the way, says Katzenel. Yeah, there's a lot of sport on in the world at the moment. Almost too much to be able to follow, not even being an idiot. Either none of those Glasgow players make the Canes team, and I'm a Blues fan. I don't know about that. I feel like there'd be quite a few who would sneak their way into Super Rugby and fit in quite nicely. That one's gone into touch from Dan Lancaster. I love our Glasgow play, my favourite team to watch live. The antithesis of the 19th century South African approach. I'm a South African and a Bulls fan, says Minky. And we have got there, our Bulls need a point before half-time. And Glasgow making it hard for them. Some more possession going the way of the home side. Again, their backline will move it on nicely. Kyle Rowe had the man with him, decides against the pass. In fact, it was Josh Mackay that time, and it's backfired. Oh, no, never mind. Penalty goes against Harold Foster again in the breakdown. Are you going to do the England-New Zealand football game tonight? I would have liked to initially, but because I'm sick, I think by the time I finish this game, as well as that Stormers versus Leinster match, I'm going to have no voice left. So I'll probably have to miss it out and then potentially watch a replay tomorrow. Kia ora, Hamish from Cape Town. Are you doing the Stormers game? We are certainly doing it. One kicking off in about 2.5 hours' time. But now another chance here for the Glasgow Warriors on the attack. What have both South African teams with? As you know, where South Africa, the final will be held. So once again, the Stormers versus Leinster, it would be a Stormers final. There's no way for the Bulls to host because they come in as fourth qualifier. So the only way this game takes place in South Africa for the final is if the Stormers win and the Bulls win. Rolling the right direction at the moment for the Glasgow Warriors yet again. And a new advantage this time, I believe, going against Ruan Nokia. They will get that little bit closer once more. Committed to this rolling maul at the moment. Can they get it down? They're over the line. Uh-oh, it's a penalty try. It is a penalty try now, which will lead to a yellow card. And the Bulls can't play this game with 15 on the field, it would seem. This is not going well, and it's going from bad to worse with the fact that that counts as a clear conversion too. I'll be watching Wales play Sebastian's Romania in that case. I don't like to blame the ref. Bulls need to do better, but that Foster turnover penalty was a BS call there. Yeah, I thought he had done enough to get that. Okay, if this amounts even for the Stormers game, says Youngco. Now, if the Warriors continue like this, they'll squash Leinster or the Stormers. And we are waiting for the Cape Town held final. Yeah, although if Glasgow win this game, can't go to Cape Town. No matter what, it would be happening in Scotland. They just went over in the end. The Bulls trying to hold it up. I think it might be either Nokia or Honeycomb. It's been sent to the bin. Well, we mentioned Fiji versus South Africa in the sevens is currently taking place, ladies and gentlemen. It is still 0-0. Oh no, in fact, Fiji are leading that game 5 points to 0. They were able to beat South Africa earlier on today. We are hoping to do it again here. Now, just talking about the quality of this Bulls side, but Nokia in the bin. I was busy typing a message. Then the ad pops up and throws everything away. The Bulls are my team and the regular semi-finalists and the finalists, but Glasgow said we're a powerhouse these days. And also we have got, what is the Bulls doing now? Can they lose this with that team, says Wolfie. South Africa yellow card first minute against Fiji. There's Johan there. And then I guess Vui Viwa Nadovalo, he scored in the second minute. So you'd assume that that's why they conceded a little bit easier. Ball is on the side of the Bulls. We're 26 minutes in, and this is, at the moment, not even close between these two teams, ladies and gentlemen. The Bulls need to go through a patch where they just have enough players on the field, because Glasgow's backline is certainly not having any sort of real issues as of yet. Now the ball on the outside, though. Chance for the Bulls. 25 metres out from the line. Bumping off Kyle Rove for Stravino Jacobs. Now pick and go from Elric Lowe. And the ball stolen in the breakdown by Dempsey. They're just getting it back so easily. At the moment, the Glasgow Warriors. Always follow your heart. Glasgow's game now, says Ronnie. Too much pressure, says Samuel. And Pollard back out there on the field. Goes across to Vili LaRue. Two of the veterans of this Bulls side. Kurtley Aronsa trying to create something. The Fijians have just scored again. They lead now 10-0 over these South Africans. With plenty of time still left on the clock. Pollard goes with the up and under. What are the chances of the Leinster back-to-back? Says Katzenell. Oh, and it's a big fend from Mackay. Leinster probably relatively high, I would say, although they'll have to play well to beat this Glasgow side if they play like this next week, if they make it that far. And New Zealand will keep on losing wickets. Oh, penalty goes the way of the Bulls this time in the breakdown. And there's Johan Krobela. Managed to get over that ball. I think we'll go like that. Yeah, we'll go like that. There we go. I got New Zealand in the bottom corner. I think they've got rain delay at the moment. New Zealand are 55 for 5, which is not ideal. One's kicked in a touch by the Bulls. I'm a Bull, and I know my team isn't that great, says Minky. Exactly what I expected, says Keep Involved. And we see there Johan Robela just getting his body position right. I'm going to say, though, this game is not over. And I'm actually going to make a reference that I think will annoy a lot of people. But Leinster La Rochelle, a couple years ago in a playoff game. Now, that was for the Champions Cup, but Leinster were leading by a big margin. La Rochelle came back to win that game. It is not over till it's over. And at the moment, the Bulls, they just need to break this chain, where we are seeing Glasgow get points time and time again. And Crowley's with the steal. Yep, Rain is New Zealand's best batsman this weekend. Away to Johan Robela again. There's Matt Fagerson. Wanted the steal. Harold Foster, pick and go. Now looking for the steal, told to get out of there. Have to keep their discipline, Glasgow. The last thing that they want to do is end up with a yellow card for their side as well. Right onto the ball, although penalty advantage going against Rory Darge this time. Will be the penalty awarded to the Bulls. We have their Bulls are going to make a comeback, says Neil. Need to keep the 15 on the field. Yeah, that's the main key at the moment for the Bulls. Now, this is a big decision to make here. They're a man down. It is an easy 3, but they are sitting here currently. They are 18 points down. They need to score their first try unless they gave up the 19-0 lead to La Rochelle. Yeah, it can happen. You see sides, even in the sevens side of things, you see a side 19-0 up, they go on to lose 21-19. Speaking of 19-0 up, I think that's about what the Fijians are sitting at the moment, the way they've been going. They are currently sitting 12-0 over these South Africans. South Africa still trying to find a way of getting back into that contest up against Fiji. Still plenty of time left on the clock. Our URC performance only proves that an amazing coach, or what an amazing coach Rasi really is. And this is like the Springbok Sevens there. And we have a whole much of mediocre players who Rasi made great, says Minky. Right. The stoppage is over. We were just seeing a few players. A bit of medical attention, but it is going to be the free kick here. And the quick tap taken by Johan Robala. Thrown at the line for the Bulls. Oh, that was weird. That was almost like a tackle training drill. I think they just want a quick recycled ball there, but the player didn't even take contact. He just lay down on the ground for the Bulls. They have got the penalty advantage, though. Now back across to Cameron Honeycomb. Offloads up to Kane and Moody. Couldn't quite go through. Daj looking for the steal, does get it, so they'll go back again. Have you gloomed yourself? What does that mean? I have no idea what that term means. Ladashau at the time, we're possession kings. The Blue Bulls need to get possession, keep the ball, and just make Glasgow tackle, tackle, tackle. Looks like they are going for the tap and go again here for the Bulls, staying aggressive in their mindset. And Robala again dragged down short. There's a few repeat infringements coming from the Glasgow Warriors, just out from their own line now. Gerard Stennekamp, 1 metre out, another advantage. The Bulls, they may be able to get yellow card, potentially for that ball is down, and it's Marcel Kutzia who's managed to get the grounding there. I think they want to check to make sure that he hasn't knocked that ball on. Time South African time, and the Stormers playing 6:30 p.m. That's when the Stormers will be taking on Leinster. I just said there, the first try of the semi-final for this Bulls team. Can't get possession if you're being completely outplayed. All right, does Matt Fagerson... Oh, okay, I think he may have actually stripped that ball off of Marcel Kutzia initially, but they did already have the penalty advantage. We have it there, also there, Hamish, New Zealand versus England football friendly match coming in 6 hours. I don't miss it. It's not a cricket game, it's football friendly, says Jaden. Right, I think this one's going to be ruled out. But at the same time, I think that this could also be a Glasgow yellow card here very soon. You can see a yellow for the Warriors coming. Yeah, I think they're one penalty away from getting one. And Bulls need at least 15 players to get back in, says Minky. And Bulls need at least 2 more tries to get back in. Right, it's going to be no try. 31 minutes through. We'll go back for the penalty. And again, I believe we are in that last warning situation here. The colour for South African Sevens against Fiji, so it goes from bad to worse for the South Africans at the moment. I see they're still considered slightly in the game, though. Like, don't get me wrong, they're underdogs, but they're not, like, absolutely huge ones, but I think that's just because of the blitz box ability. Why do you look so different now? Did you improve your sleep? Don't think so. I think I probably have had a worse sleep schedule in recent weeks. Now, Hanecom. Couple meters out again. The Glasgow Warriors trying to hold him up. Oh, Andrew Bracey did a little bit of a sell as if he was going to go for the advantage arm, but then pulled it away. Stennekamp, 1 meter out from the try line. Now passed back across again to the left-hand side. Told to use it. Kutzia held up by Dempsey. Any more penalty advantages and Glasgow will be going to the bin. But for now, Honeycomb, aggressive with the carry. Same with Eldrick Lowe, the loose forwards working hard. Johan Robala, he goes over the line. And the Bulls get themselves the try. Kia ora, Hamish, are you doing the Stormers game too? We are indeed, Henry. I did reply the other 2 times too, but it may have cut out at that time. Why the Bulls not choosing scrum, says Jimbo. I think it's just down to the fact that they haven't got Ruan Nokia out there on the field. I think they're waiting till they're back to 7. New camera. No, but you are the 3rd person who's mentioned the camera quality. So I don't know what's happened. Maybe my streaming software had an update or something. But yeah, it seems to be that quite a few people this weekend have said that the camera looks better. Or unless it looks worse. I assume it looks better though, hopefully. That kick has gone over from the Bulls, and that will make the score now 21-10 after 32 minutes. Roblar's on a special day. And apologies, no, it is all good. But yeah, we are going to be covering that Stormers versus Leinster match. Starting that stream in about 2 hours' time. You should, your live stream compared to last month's streams, you should what? Oh, you should look at the ones and then see the difference. Okay, so yeah, maybe the streaming software had an update of some sort. Game on, says Jimbo. Puppy here. Kicks this one downfield. It doesn't go into touch. That's a great offload from Glasgow to somehow keep that ball alive. I thought about going on the outside. Looked a little bit high from Foster, although I think the player was ducking into it. Now Sione Tui Pelotu. Oh, referee almost gets hit in the gonads by Elric Lowe. They're doing a great job here. Better than the radio, says Minky. Thank you very much. I do apologise for my voice again. It does sound very rough. Oh, that was close to Pollard touching the dead ball area, but he will kick this one into touch instead. But yeah, normally the voice doesn't quite sound this bad. It's just because I'm also sick. So having that partnered with the amount of live streams means that doesn't sound great. Have you been drinking? No, only water. And I've had quite a bit of honey, because apparently honey helps for the vocal cords, or at least helps with the throat. So yeah, I've probably consumed more honey in the last 3 days than I've consumed in my whole life. Eating that stuff by the spoonful. Streaming Soccer World Cup games? Not sure yet. But it will depend on scheduling and what else kind of overlaps with it. Now passing it back across again. That backline movement. Stain moves it on to Kyle Rowe. One-on-one with Kurtley Arendse. Oh no, he missed the tackle, Arendse. But there's a little knock on the ground from Glasgow in the process. The Bulls, they decided to go over and give him a head rub. That's optimistic and a bit of a weird confidence for a side down by 11. But I think they were just happy that he made the mistake. Kyle Rowe on the ground. Completely wrong-footed Kurtley Arendse, who just got half the ankle tap in the end. And All Whites lost 4-0 to Haiti, says Jaden. Well, the crowd are not happy about something. Do you know the score for the Blitzies, please? Last I saw it was 12-0 for Fiji. Now it is 12-7 in favour of the Fijians still. But South Africa right back in that game. It's actually only half-time now, I believe. No, actually, I'm lying. I think we're in the second half. Most recent try was scored by Ricardo James Duarte, and South Africa are no longer considered as massive underdogs. They're only $2.30 underdogs, so about what the Bulls were at the start of this game. It should be warm water. Listen to your mum, says Mike. And also, voice is gone because Hamish just taking straight shots of vodka from that bottle. Rachel Ravinha is not committed to play for New Zealand anymore. But now, scrum again. This time it will be in favour of the Bulls, who are 15. There we go. We got it out in the end. 15 metres out from their own line. A first game of the World Cup of South Africa versus Mexico. When does that one actually take place? Is that on Thursday next week? That is the penalty, though, awarded to the Bulls. Well, South Africa are all but favourites now in their sevens. It will be quite an intriguing one, because if South Africa do lose that game, the best they can finish is 5th. And then technically the best Fiji can finish is 1st. So they might be able to get kind of close in terms of the overall standings. Do you drink 42 below? I don't actually know what that is, believe it or not. Where's the knock on? He didn't knock it on, says Kahu. And Thursday next week, says Kevin. Yeah, so that's quite close to taking place, isn't it? Ryan Nokia back from the bin. I think it depends on the angle that I hold my face as to whether or not my voice comes out. Now, that's an awkward one. It wasn't very straight, but I don't think Glasgow actually contested for it, so it does mean that the Bulls can retain the possession. 11 for Mexico versus South Africa, says Henny there. A bit of a late shot coming in from Alex Samuel. Seemed like a cheap shot, really. A good shot on Kyle Rowe by Honeycomb. I'm trying to search for this ball in the breakdown for Jamie Dobie. Just the 3 minutes remain. Glasgow still leading this half by the 11 points. Being told to use it again. Kicking it in behind for Dobie. I'm stuck in 2006. I drink Miller's Light. Says cool story. Now Pollard with a bit of space to try and run through, but Tui Palotu manages to get rid of him. Manages to roll out of there as well. Andrew Brace just said second time, but I don't think he gave a penalty advantage for anything. How long is the Blitzbox game? They'll be getting very close to full time now, I would think. I will check in a very short moment. Once we have a stoppage in this game, the Bulls get themselves another penalty. Currently, South Africa versus Fiji is 12 points to 12. In fact, no, it's now 14-12 in favour of South Africa after the 9 minutes. Fiji are now considered as $5 underdogs. I'm just talking about the shoulder of Jamie Dobie being tested. I think we'll go like this and we'll go like that. And thanks so much, says Felicia. No worries at all. I don't Bafana going to win any game in the World Cup. And show us the game, says Roscoe. It is available on URC TV, which is probably your best bet of being able to watch it depending on where you are in the world. Glasgow's box kicking very poor. Oh, that one not straight from the Bulls. Johan Robillard frustrated with that one there. Let's give Glasgow Warriors the scrum feed, who scored for the Scottish, 2 for Kyle Steyn. And then also the other try for penalty try was the other one. That's why I couldn't think of who it was exactly who did score that try. Now just the 1 minute remaining. The moment on the clock. A 2 for Steyn and a penalty try. Dobie to feed this ball, and he was the late inclusion into the side, and that was due to the absence of George Horn. And Tui Palotu, nice backline movement again there for the Glasgow Warriors. Good pace being shown, ball on the outside to Steyn. Last 2 times that they've done that has led to a try. Steyn moves it up to the halfway line. Foster looking for the steal, but does lose the footing in the process. Fagerson. That's the bounce pass. It looks like there is an injury and back play here for the Glasgow Warriors as well. 30 seconds remaining of the half. Now with the blitz, 4 shots on that. When your throat will be good as new. 20 seconds now remaining. I'm going to have a quick look to see South Africa still leading in the sevens, 14 points to 12. With the way that it does currently sit. Being told to use it again there for this Glasgow Warriors side. What I'm quickly going to do as well is I'm going to change this so that we can see in the corner. That one's going to be kicked into touch. Right, South Africa have got themselves the scrum feed here, 10 metres out from the Fijian line, although Fiji just gave away the penalty in the breakdown. 3 minutes remain in that contest, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa to try and book themselves a spot through to the quarterfinals. Thanks for the stream, very committed to your stream. And 14-12 to the blitz box. It reminds me of the final last year. I started supporting Leinster and pretended to be a Viking. As it was my way of coping. Dublin was founded by the Vikings, says Minky. The 21 points to 10. The halftime break of this contest. Glasgow getting off to a flying start with the 3 tries. The Bulls managing to pull one back near the end of the half. And 2 yellow cards as well for this Bulls team has made it difficult. South Africa needs a complete strategic overhaul with regards to club rugby. Says cool story. We're seeing there the other ones that are coming up in the near future, the top 14 playoffs, the Barbarians versus South Africa match, and also the Junior World Championship that is starting on the 27th of June. And see you in the second half, says Minky. And who's the Bulls wing on the far side, giving Steyn far too much respect. So that would be Stravino Jacobs out there on the left wing today. Although it does seem like Moody's doing a lot of defending out there. At least it kind of seems that way. The TMO is going upstairs for something in the Fiji versus South Africa sevens match. I think they're checking for some sort of cheap shot here. Looks like Ricardo James Duarte was slamming one of the Fijian players down. And then he slams his head down again. And Taria Vailawa then gets attacked by Saviwe Soyas-Wapi. So I'm not sure what Vailawa actually did here. But I can't think that this would be a penalty to South Africa. This seems like they've kind of just roughed up the smallest player on the field. The TMO is going to have to make a decision. South Africa's temper, has it just hurt them in the sevens? I know Ricardo James Duarte, that man goes at 1,000 miles an hour every single time that he is out there on the field. Are you going final if Crusaders make the final, Hamish? The only way for them to have the home final is if the Hurricanes and the Chiefs lose. But if they did, maybe. We'll see. They are just about to have the halftime entertainment. The Fijians have got themselves the penalty, though. And let's look update at the moment, 14 points to 12. The way that it does currently sit. And go Glasgow from a Stormers. Says Martin. Okay, Ricardo James Duarte going over. There's a bit of tension there between Fiji and South Africa, ladies and gents. It seems like these two sides aren't the biggest fan of each other. I think that's because of how their last game ended in the group stage. South Africa, it did narrowly sneak in as a lower ranked qualifier in the sevens. Normally used to be a number one. They are currently leading 14 points to 12 in that sevens matchup. We'll keep you updated throughout this halftime break. For anyone just tuning in, Glasgow Warriors leading up against the Bulls 21 points to 10 with a nice solid start to the game for the home side. The Bulls, they had the 2 yellow cards, one's of Pollard and one of Ruan Nokia, but they fought back nicely with the exception of that. Oh, loose ball there. Taria Vailawa keeps it on the side of the Fijians. I feel like we're just going to end up doing a little bit of commentary for the sevens while we're at it, while we're waiting for this halftime break. Time left for the Blitzies, and they are currently leading by 2, the South Africans, so that is one big bonus. Tristan Lades, he's one of the nominations for Player of the Year, leaving the foot for Donovan Don, so he's been penalised. The Fijians looking to turn this game around. Tristan Lades almost got the steal, though. Pick and go from Fiji again. And Bros Papia quiet today. Yeah, we haven't seen a huge amount of Papia as of yet. It was almost a knock-on from the Fijians, but it's ruled as backwards. We have got there feeling happy the Storm is going to win, says Martin. The Bulls actually need to work on their midfield defence. Glasgow making it look so easy to make the meters. Yeah, as soon as Glasgow start moving that ball into about the, I'd say, third or so pass from the halfback, it just turns around completely. Oh, South Africa just get themselves a massive, crucial turnover penalty, ladies and gentlemen. And now it gives them a chance to use up a bit more time. Currently with that 2-point lead. And also we have there, good day, says Demon. And go Glasgow from the Stormers, says Martin. Yeah, although if the Bulls win, Martin, it would mean that the Stormers can host the final theoretically. Moody helping Jacobs out instead of smashing McDowell. And the Bulls need to stop drifting and hit the line harder, says Jimbo. And do the Blitzbox update. Well, currently there is 1 minute 30 remaining. And South Africa are leading 14 points to 12. Get a stream Barbarian South Africa, as long as it doesn't overlap with the URC final, which hopefully it won't. Quite nice having the sevens at halftime, though. It does make the halftime break go much quicker. South Africa have got themselves the ball in hand around the halfway line, ladies and gentlemen. Shilton Van Wyk almost getting it turned into a rolling maul, but driven into touch. Along his left, currently 1 minute 10 remaining on the clock for the Bordeaux Sevens. Rhino stays in. Cross to Saviwe Soyas Wapi. He goes through. And the Fiji, it looks like they should have a defender back there. It's Rio Vailawa. That was a huge shot from one of the Fijians. He just tried to decapitate Saviwe Soyas Wapi. But South Africa moving into the 22. Ball is still on their side. There's 40 seconds remaining between these two sides now. Now David Britz does the side shuffling. George Balsey on the ball. And he wins the penalty for the Fijians. They take the quick tap. They're looking to keep this game rolling at a frantic tempo. Oh, but it's a knock-on from Fiji. 20 seconds remaining in the match. And South Africa now should be able to close out the game, you would think. And Stormers is Glasgow and Cape Town. says Martin. And there as well. But yeah, I would say that is probably the game now for the South Africans, unless something drastic changes. So they will move through to the semi-finals, which we will be covering tomorrow. We will get to see them go head-to-head up against the French in that semi-final. Don't write the Bulls off for the end of the game. Says Sophia there. And France 33, New Zealand 9. It also can't happen, Martin, if Glasgow wins. That's an Edinburgh final. Says Jimbo. Yeah, so it's a bit of an awkward one because you almost, for the only way that it can be in South Africa is if it's a South African derby involving the Stormers and the Bulls. So a rematch of the first ever URC final that we saw. But, yeah, it's going to be exciting. The second half, whether or not the Bulls can find their momentum nice and early on, which they kind of need to. So the Blitzbox out. The Blitzbox won, though, so they are not out of anything. They will be the victors more than likely in the contest. Scotland pumping South Africa, says Daza. But yes, South Africa ended up coming back from 12-0 down, similar to what they did for their game up against Spain. When's your YouTube paycheck come in, says Splash TV? I think it's normally near the end of the month, about the 20-something of each month. Which works out quite well because a lot of the sports subscriptions, streaming software subscriptions and everything is right at the end of the month too. So it pretty much just goes into that and then I just top up whatever I need to pay for the rest of it. We have there, okay, Stormers versus Glasgow, says Martin. And Biltong on the menu, says Daza. And there too. The second half of this contest will not be a mile away. They are just showing the highlights of all of the tries that we have seen throughout this first half. We saw one penalty try earlier on. We have there, greetings Hamish on the Discord channel. Are we allowed to have watch parties? I think it's illegal. I could be wrong. I'm not actually too sure what the rules are, but yeah, I think that a lot of the Discord ones get taken down if they try and do that, depending on the amount of people who are involved. And I have a feeling Italy could give New Zealand tough tests, says Kevin. Yeah, the penalty try, as well as the 2 tries for Kyle Stain in the first half. For the Glasgow Warriors, for the Bulls, they have had the 1 try. That was of Johan Krobela. Wait. Was it Johan Krobela? No, it was Marcel. No, it was Johan Krobela. Marcel Kutsia's one was disallowed in the end. Can you list the Bulls bench, please? It's high to mind you. There you go. So it is Marco van Staden, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, also Wilco Low, Kobus Visa, Jandre Rudolph, Zach Berger, also Stedman Hans, and Nassim Carr as the number 23. So going with the 6-2 split in this contest, the Bulls. If New Zealand used the Hurricanes backline, they'll be fine, says LB. And go the Blue Bulls, love you, says Tanya. And there as well. But there is still another semi-final just around the corner. That is going to be Leinster taking on the Stormers. As you can see, the Bulls were given much more of a chance in this game than the Stormers were given in their match up against Leinster. So for that very reason, the Bulls have to get back into this game that little bit more. The final, it is going to be taking place on Sunday, the 21st of June here in New Zealand, but it will be the 20th of June for you guys in South Africa. But currently, halftime break, I would say, is pretty close to concluding. We have got there with this result. South Africa can't lose the championship in the sevens. Says Johan, yeah, due to Argentina missing out, it's pretty much all confirmed now. Which, I guess, it's good for South Africa. It would have been nice to see it go down to the wire a little bit. I thought YouTube pays a lot. Depends on the channel. We definitely aren't in that category, though. I mentioned about it many times, how anything made off the channel pretty much goes straight back into the channel. And half the time, I've got to put my own money in too to keep it running. But like at the end of the day, that's what I consider as a hobby. So you got to fund the hobby side of things. Who won the Blitzbox versus Fiji just now? 14-12 in favour of South Africa, coming back from 12-0 down. And how was the Sale Sharks game? And Sale 14-0 up. See here's Jimbo. Both sides making their way out of the tunnel to get us back underway. Ruan Nokia, he has already experienced the bin in this contest. Same with Andre Pollard, 2 men were yellow carded. I think that Glasgow are probably only one more penalty inside of their own 22 away from going to the bin also. So Blitzbox versus France, correct. Yep, so that will be one of the semi-finals. The other semi-final is still yet to be confirmed, but currently one of the matches has taken place now. That is New Zealand versus Great Britain. You sound sick, Hamish? That's because I am. Unfortunately, catching colds like they're going out of fashion. Wherever you watch the game on TSTV. For us here in New Zealand, it's on URC TV. One's going to be kicked off long. It's a nice take from Eldrick Lowe as well. Hit it up towards the 22. Everyone in the stream, like the video and subscribe. Now the Bro Grows channel says Seki there. And Tuiloto haircut looks like a paddle, says Dazza. And the Bulls says Cassie. Oh, not quite getting that one cleanly for Kurtley Aronsa. Back away to the left again to Xander Fagerson. Being told to use it once more. Now it's going to be advantage over. Now right on to the 22-ish for Andre Pollard, maybe just outside, which is why he didn't take the mark. We have the eye side, well, the side I normally use is not working today. And there you go, drink Lemsip and get the manufacturer to sponsor, says Mark. And Andre Pollard should be a rare card if he does not cop on. Now down to halfway, Aronsa flying after him, but he's missed the tackle on Mackay. Left a pretty big gap for Glasgow to be able to make a few more metres in the process. Now moving away to the left-hand side, Sione Tuipulotu. Couldn't quite feed it on. Back across to the right yet again. Through the gap, the big man, Patrick Schickerling. And Honeycomb gets the turnover for the Bulls. It's come at a crucial time too. This game looked like it was starting off relatively open in the first few moments of the second half. But Schickerling, he initially made the nice break, but unfortunately for him, he just isolated himself. Didn't have anyone with him. Glasgow boys doing all right today. See his big rig. One is going to go into touch. Tried to keep it in the field of play. Kyle Rowe, how long was Kurtley out injured? It seems a bit off form. Not as usual self, says Jimbo. It was a little while. Andre Pollard should retire. Well, I think he's only like, 28, 29. He's got a few more years in him, Andre. Well, the Bulls have signed someone else, haven't they? They've signed Kerwin Bosch for next year, from memory. Be interesting to see how he goes. Johan Robillard now popping it up to Harold Foster. The Bulls back in a good attacking position on the field. Stedman Khans thought about passing it across. He's out there on the field, I want to say for Kane and Moody. Haven't spotted Moody in the second half as of yet. Now Villy LaRue moves it on to Stravino Jacobs. They can go from Eldrick Lowe again. They're moving closer to that Glasgow line, although they turn it into a rolling ball. No, in fact, the tackle was called, so they have to release him. And Bros Papia back across to Marcel Kurtzia. This will be a great start to the second half for the Bulls. And another penalty advantage. Blow of the whistle. Double blow here. Referee reaching into the pocket and a yellow card for the Glasgow Warriors. Andre is 32. Oh, he's a bit older than I remember him being. Andre Pollard. That one was from Martin saying he should retire. But I think if it's anything like Villaroo, he's going to play till he's like 36, 37, I would say. But the yellow card, that changes things in this contest. It's a harsh yellow, isn't it? I think it's just for repeat infringements. And there's that yellow. Now you said Andre must retire. Martin. Bosch is bad, says Martin. So you're going to hate the Bulls by the sounds of it because you don't like either of their fly halves. So I said they're doing good. They get a card. Now rolling maul. It's gone down now. And here we go. Bulls says a grey 619. Now Ambros Papier goes across to Harold Foster. Just slips over in the process of trying to run that ball. It's actually happened a couple times throughout this game already with players not quite being able to keep their footing underneath them. But they are not out of this game as of yet, the Bulls. In fact, if they score now, they are absolutely right. And Ambros Papier, the man who scores it, making the score now 21-15. With plenty of time remaining on the clock. Now we have got there. Andre is going to clinch us the World Cup next year, says Grey 619. But this one now is pretty close. Kick going over here would put us to only 4 points difference. It would bring quite a bit of intrigue. Oh, I can't South African women win anything, says Mohadeen. I mean, to be fair, they got promoted from Sevens 3 to then Sevens 2 to then getting the opportunity on the championship. So it's not all going to happen overnight for the South African ladies. They've certainly punched above their weight throughout this recent year. That one's missed away to the side for Andre Pollard. A rare miss for him. Keeps the score at 21-15. What I've give for a Leinster Glasgow final after listening to the South African podcast lately is enough to question what dimension they're in. So one-eyed, everything revolves around them, says Dharma. Yeah, Jimbo just remembered there were and the edge late in the first half. Kicked off long. Taken nicely by Eldrick Lowe. Get inside of the 22, but they do have the man advantage now for the Bulls for a little bit longer. Stephen Hards, that is a massive kick from him. Bounces it into the half of the Glasgow Warriors. Do they win any points? Is it the South African ladies you're talking about? More than likely they're back in Division 2 next year. The way that it does sit. But 34 minutes still on the clock here. Between these two sides, this is shaping up to be a super game. Says the great 619. And when sports so frustrating, says Splash TV. What, just in general, every single one, or certain sports? Or knock on from Glasgow. They're starting to make a few more mistakes here in the second half. Bulls maybe have come out the better side throughout the second half early stages. They've still got that man advantage. Whoever there, so South Africa don't play Australia in the sevens this time. They do not. As Australia will be playing off the 5th. And I think they'll be playing Fiji, potentially. You see it there, just that knock on from Daj. And Bulls should be leading right now. Don't know why Glasgow gives them a headache. And also, women's rugby suffers from uneven teams. The top 10 men's teams are way more even than the top 10 women's, says Big Rick. And go the Blue Bulls go, says Tanya. And now scrum feed for the Bulls. And Maros Papier. It scored the most recent try of the contest. The second one of the match for the Bulls. One goes down again. The referee just giving them the same message as the first 40 minutes. Respect the gap. Call for the scrum. And today, they are the White Bulls. Says Ander. And it was the world champion in the sevens. The most, as in like this year's one or the most recent year, Martin? Women's rugby is flying, says Samuel. And I can see the Bulls bench tipping this. And always great to watch, says Samuel. Yeah, the early change of Stedman Hans, I assume, was due to a Moody injury, but I think they've actually looked, it sounds bad to say, but they've actually looked better since Moody's gone off. Now moving away to the left-hand side, Kurtli Arendse almost decided to go with a shovel on, but instead he's going to go for the kick in behind. It will go just out, about 25 metres out from Glasgow's line. And 48 minutes in. Arendse with a little bit of a limp here. Now, with that 6-2 split for the Bulls, it means that they can't really afford any more injuries to backs. Although, in fact, it looks like Moody is about to be able to make his way back out onto the field. I think he was off for an HIA. So it seems like he is now back rearing to go. And thrown in. Taken at the front for Alex Samuel. I just seen that number 8 is actually John. I have a nickname Jack after the boxer, says Mark, and that is going to be a penalty. The back line all offside there for the Bulls. If you blitzbox, would you play France or Australia? France, because they won. And my partner South Africans cheering on the Blues while on cheery on Scotland. Because I'm Scottish, says Johnny. Yeah, there's a few people in the stands for this game at Murrayfield. There are a few empty ones along there too, but I'd love to be able to fill it up for the final, whether that is up against a South African team which would be the Stormers or an Irish team in Leinster. But of course, first they have to get past this Bulls side. We're currently making it relatively challenging for them. Come on, Glasgow. See, here's bloke. Line out for Gregor Hiddleston. Okay, Moody. And we'll be able to go out there very soon to replace Stedman Hans again. And just, oh no, I read that one about the Glasgow number 8. And I keep it going, Bulls. So here's Sophia, now rolling maul for the Glasgow Warriors. Told to get out of there for the Bulls. Whether or not they listen is a different story. Now they do get out of that maul. Now Sione Tuipulotu going away to the left-hand side again. Glasgow are going to look to move it crisply, but a kick behind, attempted by Josh Mackay. Sits up into the hands of Billy LaRue. Stedman Hans offload on the outside. Foster goes for the grubber. And he does tap it in to touch again. Trying to play a little bit of territory there. I don't think that one went out where Foster wanted it to. He would have loved it to go deeper inside of that 22 region. Did France ever beat the blitz box? Says Mohadin. In the past they have, yes. I think pretty much every side inside of those top sides in the sevens have beaten each other at one time or another. I think from memory, was it South Africa versus France in the semi-final of the Olympics in 2024? I could be wrong though. And now the ball is there. Going away to the left. Dobie doesn't quite go on with the next pass row. And also, what if you want to be the best? How can you be scared of who you're going to face next, says Sophia. And just Sevens lads all beating each other, says Big Rig. Do you sometimes search Google, Hamish? I use Google to search random things. But I think that's just, like, Google's quite helpful. There's some stuff on there that's completely wrong, of course. But anytime that there's like a player's height that we need, we just chuck his name into Google and we find it out in about 5 seconds. Bros Papier back across to Marcel Kurtz here. Flat ball from the Rue to Stennekamp. A little bit slow getting back up to his feet there. Alex Samuel, a bit of a concerning look there for the Glasgow Warriors. And when you're playing golf again, I'm not actually too sure. Maybe like next week or the week after, I would say. Now Ambros Papier passes it up now to Ruan Nokia. Moves it on again. Pollard passes across to Willy LaRue. He just took a little bit longer to get it out to Honeycomb, although it's worked out as Honeycomb is showing his pace. He'll be dragged down 2 meters short of the goal line. If the Bulls score now, they take the lead in the semi-final. Glasgow diving on the ball. They couldn't stop them, and the Bulls now will take the lead. Remember in the first half, ladies and gentlemen, where people were ruling this side completely out, saying they had no chance. Well, now they have got the lead with 28 minutes to go, and this game is far from over. Jacobs is a bulldozer. Yeah, Honeycomb just strategically timing his straightening of the run. He halfway considered going for the offload there initially. Marcel Kutsia just short of the line, and then over he goes for the big man, Francois Klopper. I can't believe it, says Minky there. And the beach time, says Jimbo. But, like they're saying, holding possession changes this game around. And Glasgow have been lackluster in the second half thus far. And the lead now, 22 points to 21. We are going to see a change, though. And well, I'm shocked, says Kevin. And Jacobs has got on attack, but so poor on defence. And also, we have got there's your strong suit, driving or putting. Depends on the greens. I'm not a bad putter if I get the weight kind of right. Like normally, if I miss, I'll miss by 6 inches or less, so I get to tap it in. But driving can go a lot worse than 6 inches off the fairway. And the ball is starting to look accurate, says Mark. And Billy using his brain there, finding Honeycomb, basketball pass. Kicked off long by the Glasgow Warriors. There would have been a time in this game that the Bulls were considered as pretty much out of this in terms of every bookmaker out there. On the South African side, they believe they can get the job done. Speaking of driving, apparently McDonald's are going to make all their drive-thrus AI now, which sounds horrible, says Big Rick. Who scored? It was, in the end, Francois Klopper. Ball goes back on the side of the Bulls. Or is it? Oh, no, Bulls have to leave it. It was actually Glasgow who ended up with that possession back. I think that they're lacking a little bit of go forward right next to the breakdown at the moment, the Glasgow Warriors. That physicality that the Bulls are bringing, it means that when they fire it out wide, Glasgow, they do bring some success in terms of meters made, but just next to the breakdown, they're not getting any sort of post-contact meters, which is hurting them in the long run. Nice take from Andre Pollard, just outside of the 22 here. If you miss your putts, do you blame the ref? Says Xander. No. Normally I blame myself because I should be able to get them slightly closer. Bros Papier. He's taking it back into his own 22, so this one cannot find touch. Under the high ball, Aronsa slaps it back. Ruan Vermaak right next to the sideline gets held onto by Kyle Stain, who rips him into touch. Referee said that one's not out. That was a wrong call, as the ball was well and truly out with Vermaak. But now the back line for the Bulls. Willie LaRue tries to pass it to Moody, who has dropped that ball behind him. Stravino Jacobs tries to pump those legs to get past Sione Tuipulotu. Short side run now from Harold Foster. The tempo at the moment that this one is being played at, such pity to be the loser. Both teams play so well in the URC, says Kevin. If the Bulls win and the Stormers lose against Leinster, where will the final be? It'll be in Ireland. And it would be Leinster hosting the Bulls. No matter what, if the Bulls win this game, they travel to wherever the other winner is. They can't actually get a home field advantage at all, the Bulls, because they come in as fourth qualifier. Now back across to the right again for this Bulls side with 24 minutes left on the clock. They're starting to find their rhythm big time in the second 40. Around the halfway line. Was it called as a maul? Referee says no. It's been very back and forth at the moment. The penalty awarded to the Glasgow Warriors, and a little bit of back chat there from the Bulls criticising the referee's decision. Has not gone well there. And they've been marched backwards the 10 metres. This is where they really need to get that temper in check. If you are the Bulls, you've got to accept whatever decision it is, whether you agree with it or not. The last thing that you want to do is give the referee a reason to yellow card you. Yeah, just jumping straight in off his feet. Ruan Vermaak, an understandable one. Took out the knees of Hiddleston. If the Bulls win, they should play the final at Loftus because this will be a miracle win. Yeah, they don't see it that way. They just go, you'll go to either Ireland or you'll go to Cape Town. Here's the two locations. Looks like Jandre Rudolph, Kobus Visa, and Marco van Staden are just about to make their way on. Oh, maybe not quite, actually. They're going to give them a little bit longer. Oh, I should also mention scores in the sevens, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa and France have won their games. New Zealand versus Great Britain, I believe, would have come to a close by now. New Zealand won that game 24-0. And then the USA versus Spain, I believe, is just about to take place. You're not a mile away from that one starting up. This game is far from over. Absolutely, it's 1 point difference between the two teams. Now, Glasgow, it's been a long time since their last try. It was the penalty try at that. We're going to get this rolling maul moving in the right direction again. Ruan Vermaak just asking whether or not he is legally able to go for that turnover in the maul. It's going to be turned around big time. The Bulls forcing them backwards. Glasgow need to use this ball in the near future. This one's not coming out at all. And it's brilliant defence from the Bulls. New Zealand still playing. Says Jasmine. Also, we over there. Let's go the Bulls, says Luke. And also, that's why you order a large Coke to wash it down, says Xander. Come on, Glasgow. Take the win like you did in 2024. Oh, so you got a Chiefs Canes final, bro. Reckon Saders winning Hamilton. It's very hard to rule out the Crusaders, definitely with how well they played up against the Blues, but it would be nice to see a Hurricanes Chiefs final, I think. We've had a couple good games so far this year. They're just talking about the tiredness kicking in for these two sides now. Still another quarter of the game to go. Oh, and Bros Papier. Oh no, both front rows go down again. The referee's just told them about what he expects to see from them. And they've just now both gone straight down to the knees. The referee's just said there that he does not want to have to make 50-50 decisions. Right. Now asking for the height to be solid. And the lineouts, which game can end now, says Kevin. I think there'll be a few players out there on the field who are wishing the same thing. It has been played at a really quick speed for these two sides. And another penalty this time. Oh no, sorry, free kick awarded to the Bulls. Who scored for the Bulls, Hamish? So we have so far seen the tries for Francois Klopper. We've seen the try for Johan Krobler. And then also the third try was Ambros Papier. We got there in the end. And the Bulls came back by having a Glasgow, yes, says Demon the 11th. Game of rugby's 80 minutes. Glasgow may have been strong for that first half, but they've taken their foot off the gas in the second. And has been hurting them big time, but we do now see the changes. Ruan Vermaak makes his way off, same with Eldrick Lowe. And good news, Johnny Gibbs, Sam Wallace-Satiti, I was in a hospital sitting upright and doing okay, but still the seizure on the field is not laughing. It could be worse than we think, says them in the 11th. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen it happen in all the time that we've done live streams on the channel for a player. Now the ball's there, Cummings. It's it up Lancaster. That's a name we haven't mentioned in a long time, and that's bad because Glasgow, that's their number 10. You're from New Zealand, says Johnny. I certainly am. It's currently almost sitting 3 a.m. here in Kiwi land for this first URC semi-final. We are also going to be covering South Africa's next game up against the Irish team in Leinster. Stormers Leinster at the Aviva. It doesn't get much better than that, although the rain looks like it's going to be a bit of a factor in that contest now. Sione Tuipolatu, ball on the outside, is ruled as forward by Andrew Brace. It will be now the scrum feed for the Bulls. And we have got there, yeah, no, I'm up, says Johnny. And gosh, how's the score, says Cool Story. And also, good Bulls, go, go, go. I should be asleep, says Johnny. Yeah, I probably should be as well, but we are going to be covering that next one on the channel. And then after that, I'll get to get some sleep before the Sevens tomorrow night. We are going to be covering on the channel too. And the game says, Dan. Yeah, hopefully that Stormers versus Leinster game is just as close as this one. That would be the ideal scenario. I should just mention as well, we are at the semi-finals here, but we don't actually get to see the final next week. There is a 2-week gap between the semis and the then final. Just got back from when Glasgow were up 12-3. What happened? Glasgow playing badly. They just haven't been able to get any sort of momentum going forward. I mentioned about how the gain line carries for Glasgow, they haven't been making meters next to the breakdown. They only seem to be making meters currently when they fire it out wide. But the Bulls now, their post-contact meters have been significantly increasing. And Ambros Papier stepping around, gives it off to Mako van Staden. Patrick Schickerling, but slow to get back up to his feet. Now Klopper goes off to Moody with the chipper behind. It sits up for the Glasgow Warriors with Josh Mackay. He offloads it on the inside. That was very risky as the Bulls could have jumped on it. But it will stay on the side of the Glasgow Warriors. Look at there, well close. Game go the Bulls, says Clive. Crowd quiet, nerves sneaking into Glasgow's play. And wins the Stormers game. That has taken place in 1 hour, 40 minutes time. And hope the Bulls take this one, says Galov. What's your thoughts so far? What's your thoughts so far of URC this far? It's been a good game. And yeah, I just hope that we get a game like this in the next matchup as well. And we have good there. No, Hamish, don't lie to us. We all want the South African teams to win by a landslide in these semi-finals. Not necessarily. I want to see close games because Super Rugby-wise, we saw 3 very one-sided affairs. So, ideally, having a close game would be a lot nicer. Which player had a seizure? Hard tackle, says Max Colby. So it was Wallace-Satiti. So he got tackled by Lukan Salakai-Lotto, which half-by kind of rocked him. And then his own teammate of the Chiefs came flying in and gave him a headbutt to the side of the head. and he was completely out and then started seizing up and shaking on the field. So they stopped it immediately, gave him the oxygen, and attended to him for a good probably 5 or so minutes just to try and make sure he was all right. And the difference in ruck speed and power running is very noticeable. Glasgow needs their bench to perform. And as we have their true thuds, the 9s are the difference. Puppy has been very solid in the second half. And I think that late change of no George Horn probably hurt them a little bit here, the Glasgow Warriors, although it didn't seem like it was hurting them in the first half. I'm not actually sure who they've got off the bench now in this game. Oh, a big tap tackle there. I think they'll go back for the initial knock on. The poor guy, thanks for the info and how much time is left. Still another 16 and a half minutes remaining here. Glasgow, we're going to try and come back into it, says Connie. Yeah, it is only a 1-point game at the end of the day. Even 3 points could be the difference. Of course, we've got to remember Andre Pollard took that one on early in the match. Let's bloody go Glasgow, says Cameron. And we're going to see it there, just not quite handling that ball nicely for Stennekamp. Slipped out of the fingertips. Rugby is actually a dangerous sport. Yeah, very dangerous. The amount of guys who currently are playing that we haven't seen the long-term effects for yet, like the numbers are going to go up pretty badly. But, yeah, it's one of those ones that, like, it's a tricky one for, like, World Rugby to try and police. Like, they've tried to make it so that players don't get hit in the head as much. They still get hit in the head quite a bit. Warriors haven't threatened since the break. Yeah, they're going sideways a majority of the time at the moment. Moving up to the halfway line with Kyle Rowe. Now back across Xander Ferguson, tries to bump off one, makes a metre or two. They're wanting the penalties there, Glasgow. And I hope that they can use that to make their metre. Short ball from Sione. Tui Piloto feeding the man through the gap. And a knock on there. In the breakdown, Kutli Arinsa. Now going for the kick in behind, so that'll be advantage over. Ball bounces sideways. Dan Lancaster is there. Thought that he had a man in support. Arinsa looking for the steal in the breakdown and manages to win the penalty there as well. Yeah, then let's go the balls from a Stormer. Says NTN. Over there is Pollard still on. He is. And I think that they'll probably look to use him here if they want the 3-pointer. We're there trying to do too much. I needed to set up the ruck. Says Studs raising here. You can see the frustration from Sione Tui Piloto there. They're taking on the shot here, Andre Pollard. Do you think Glasgow are regretting the choice to come to Murrayfield about now? I think they'd rather be at Scotstoun. But that one was kicked in behind initially, and then Arinsa. Yeah, there wasn't much of an arm wrap or anything there for Arinsa, but I think that was also because of the angle of the player. The crowd are asking for them to check it. I don't know whether or not they will. Bulls versus Stormers repeat would be nice. Says Jaden. No injured players in the game so far. None that are significant. And Pollard's missed another kick. And that's going to keep the score sitting 1 point difference between the two teams. Dobie kicking it down the field. Picked up by Nassim Carr. And go the balls all the way from China, and your voice seems to be gone already. You'll find what happened now, says Kyle. Yeah, it was gone earlier today. I think that's just the fact that I am sick as well, though. It doesn't really want to last for the day. Dived over, Kurtley Anderson, no foul. See Jimbo, that one was contested. It looks like, maybe got a rake down the back of the shin. Or the back of the Achilles there for Kyle Rowe. The way that he reacted. Jack Dempsey sounds like a character from a Western movie. There you go, the Bulls. And also, if the Stormers or the Bulls make it, then South Africa simple the best, says Kevin. We'll go like this. Glasgow didn't choose to come to Murrayfield. They had to give up Scotstoun for the Commonwealth Games. Yeah, still doesn't mean that they won't be regretting the fact that they don't get to play there, though. Because their record at Scotstoun throughout the last 3 years, even longer than that, has been absolutely phenomenal. But you're almost getting punished for being so good this season, Glasgow, by not getting to play in their home location. Line out throw here, nicely taken at the front. who has the ball at the moment. Glasgow are in position about 30 metres out from the line. Now going back across to the right, Hastings. He's made his way on. Bulls all over the breakdown, and they win another penalty. And this one will be much more simple for Andre Pollard. Well, I thought they moved as a natural 13, but it doesn't seem comfortable there, says Robert. Hastings, he is on the field for Dan Lancaster. Recently did make his way off. And Dempsey and Makepeace and British Detective series back in the 80s. And this is South Africa's last chance to win in the URC. Oh, okay, so you're just counting the Stormers straight out from the get-go by the sounds of that. 68 minutes gone. And this one is definitely a Pollard type of kick. 38 metres out in front. Currently with the 1 point lead. This would make it 4 if this kick goes over. The crowd making a bit of noise here, trying to put Pollard off his game. I can tell you right now, no matter how much noise the crowd make, it won't be as loud as the noise in Andre Pollard's head. He's hit the post, ladies and gentlemen. He has missed 3 throughout this contest, but back-to-back misses for Pollard. This is unheard of from that man. And it is keeping Glasgow in the contest as well. We've got to remember currently with how it sits, could have been an extra about 7 points, maybe even 8 points that they haven't been able to capitalise on here for the Bulls. Pollard with the 9-iron, says Salah. Pressure. You're getting old. Says Cameron, but that one's going to be kicked into touch again for Glasgow. The thing is, though, Glasgow haven't been able to get out of their own half. And it only seems like a matter of time until we see eventually Glasgow to be able to break their way through. The Bulls to break their way through. This must be Bulls' best defensive game in 15 years, says Studs Race. When does Pollard ever miss? 3 today, very surprising, says Max Colby. Iceman is melting, says Joe. And also, they do so well in the first half, says Kevin. Yeah, this game has literally been a game of 2 halves. First half, it was all Glasgow. Second half, it has been everything the Bulls. Trying to get the rolling ball. Going forward again now for the Bulls. Breaking off the back for Mako Van Staden. Made in a physical challenge there from Daj. Is it windy? Not really, I don't think. I think it's just maybe a little bit to do with that pressure of this game. They now need to stop going for the goalposts and go for the sideline. Well, that's the thing. If they get a 7 from scoring a try and converting, they're probably going to be in enough control. Interesting tactic here from the Bulls. They've gone for the box kick from 25 metres out from the opposition line. Decided to go downfield. Hasn't managed to find touch with it. Pollard pops it across to Nassim Carl. He's dropped the ball. He's knocked it on. And that is Glasgow's chance. But you're up by 1 point. Your attack's looking solid. You're making meters every time you carry the ball. And you box kick it when you're in control of the game. Just seems like a strange option there from a man who's had such a good game in Bros Papier. Box kick from there, says Studs Race. And kick for the corner, I agree, says Tanya. And Pollard just trying to keep it interesting. Yeah, that is a crucial error from this Bulls side. Like I said, Glasgow haven't even touched the Bulls 22 in the past what feels like about 15 minutes. Maybe their time, says Roger, currently 71.5 minutes down in this contest. 8.5 minutes remaining. The match is making me emotional and stuff, says the Grey 619. The way that it currently sits, they are going to be heading to the final. The Bulls, big push there at scrum time. Glasgow Warriors looking for the ball, but it's another penalty this time for the Bulls. And the scrum, your voice is going, Hamish. Sounded very coarse. That is because of me being sick, unfortunately. So it's not going to last as long as it normally does, my voice. But I've drunk a whole bottle of water today on this stream. We'll have to refill for the next one. As the Bulls subs on, most of them are. Right. They're taking on the shot again. Pollard has missed his last 2. You have a cold, Hamish? Here on the Escapade. In the Escarpment in South Africa. Icy cold. How's the weather there in New Zealand? It's been raining the last 3 days where I am, but It's been decent in terms of temperature-wise, nothing too bad. Polly is having a nightmare, but we're going to find out whether or not that nightmare is about to continue, or whether he's going to get those kicking boots back on. And thanks for your commentary. Appreciate all your efforts. Like and sub, guys. Says Cape Tonian. But Pollard for the posts. He's struck it again. He's missed again. He has missed 3 in a row, Andre Pollard here. This is unheard of. But this is at the moment 11 points that the Bulls have not gotten from this game. Now, Yandre Rudolph claims the 22 dropout. But you think soon the Bulls may consider going for the corner here from the amount of times that they have missed just in recent times. But now, right-hand side, Billy LaRue moves it on to Caden Moody. Looking for the off-road. Oh, no, offload to Nassim Carr, who does drop the ball. Now 50-22 attempted. They will go back for the initial knock-on, though, due to advantage not being played. FFS Pollard and quarter kick WTF. And what are the odds of Pollard missing 3 in a row? But probably they wouldn't have even thought to have those type of odds. And we love a good 1-point win, says Stephen. But now 6 minutes remaining. Do you know what's going to be brutal? If the Glasgow Warriors get a 3-pointer to win this game. After the amount of misses that we've seen from Andre Pollard. And the thing is, it technically could happen. They are far from out of this game. We're seeing the replay, the offload from Caden Moody, just Nassim Carr for his second knock-on of the day. Pollard potentially costed the Stormers a home final, says Cape Tonian. I'm going to scream, says the Grey 619. Caden Moody makes his way off now. Pollard sucks. I think the Bulls are throwing this so they can be fit for the internationals, says Don. So you're saying they're match fixing in this contest and get the whole team banned. 3 out of 3, Luke said that earlier. And Leinster will get the home final, says Cameron. Needing the big scrum here for the Glasgow Warriors. This one goes in and out. That is much better. Vailanu, he's made his way on the field for Rory Darge. Now backline movement for the Glasgow Warriors. What can they do? That's a terrible pass. It's gone forward by a country mile. And it's back for the Bulls with a chance here. Scrum beat on the halfway line. More than likely they'll get the penalty advantage. Then do they take the 3? Or do you then go for the corner in this scenario? You enjoy a cinnamon vanilla candle infusing the room with its beauty and grace. I've really had a candle before. So I'm not sure. Yeah, they both could have been Springbok coaches if Rassie re-signed. And calling to sack a double World Cup winning fly half is wild, says Kyle. And 5 minutes field position about 45 metres. In fact, no, we'll call it halfway at the moment for the Bulls. They've got the man of the match nominations. I think that Ambrose Puppy is definitely right up there. In terms of what he's been able to bring to the second half, it has been very strong. Glasgow, their chance of winning this game keeps on going further and further down. No penalty advantage. Nassim Carr, he manages to hang on to the ball this time. Oh, bit of a counter ruck there. Is that offside from Harold Foster? Looks like it, to be honest, but he has got away with that one. Ambrose Papier still on the side of the Bulls. 40 metres out from the Glasgow Warriors line. As Kiwi needed this Pollard in 2023 finals, says Eat These. And also Pollard as a champion. Everyone chill. That is a box kick again from Ambrose Papier. Nice take from Kurt Liarense. About 25 metres out from the line. 4 minutes now remaining. Nassim Carr, another knock on from the Bulls, who are just not on the same page at this point in time. Sounds like you need a dose of ivermectin, Bunt, says Clive. I don't actually know what that is, but I've had like 5 spoonfuls of honey today, if that counts. But, I think that normally the doctor's orders would be do not do about 8 hours of commentating if you've got a dodgy throat. I think they normally say maybe try and talk less, but I end up talking a bit more. We've still got another one just around the corner as well. Impossible to watch live rugby in the UK, says Sefazimbo. And also looks like Leinster home final to the Bulls. The score currently 1 point separating these two sides with 3 minutes now remaining. Glasgow needs something from this contest. Can someone just kick Nassim out of the rugby at this point? How even as a replacement have you have 3 knocks? Although that one, he did pass it to the guy who knocked it on. So not quite his complete fault there. What's the time left at the moment? 3 minutes remain. Ball is on the side of the Glasgow Warriors. Dobie seems like he's going to be playing the full 80 minutes. That's a big collision again. Nako Fun starting in off his feet, giving away the penalty advantage. Now Dobie looking to go through. They just haven't had any sort of go forward in the second half here for the Bulls, for the Glasgow Warriors side. Sione Tuipulotu passes it back across, trying to time their passes here. Ball on the inside from Rowe, gives it to Nokia. They'll go back for that penalty. Advantage must not have been too far away from expiring. Field position, says Cameron. This one will be about 60 metres out from the Bulls line here. The Glasgow will have possession. Are you using store honey or wild local honey? I just heads up that consuming lots of wild honey can make you sick, says Justin. It is, what's it called? I can't even remember the name of it, but it's like I don't think it's local honey. It's actually like a company, but it's like pure honey or raw honey, I think it's called. Let's go the Bulls, says Jake. We have got there, try South African brandy for your voice, says Adri there. Field position after that kick has gone into touch. The Glasgow Warriors will be about 40 metres out from the Bulls line. 2 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen, here in the semi-final. It has been one that could easily go either way, and there's still time for a decider. I mentioned about it in a half-by jokingly manner. Mako Fun started, not quite getting the turnover. I said that the Glasgow Warriors could get a 3-pointer to win this game, and that would be a real brutal blow for Pollard, who has missed 3 in this contest already. But Glasgow, 40 metres out from the line, popping it back again. Hastings goes on to Tuipulotu. They've had a lot of forward passes out wide, and that was almost another one there for the Glasgow Warriors team. Yandre Rudolph trying for the steal and the breakdown. Glasgow still 40 metres out. Middle of the field with 55 seconds remaining. Vailanu. The Bulls have to keep their discipline. Tuipulotu across to Hastings. He's driven backwards by Stedman Hans, who almost, yes, he does win the penalty for the Bulls. 40 seconds remain, and they just need to get this next play into touch and win the line out. But the Bulls may have just knocked Glasgow out of this competition, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Hastings, he delayed his pass again. No forward momentum for Glasgow. The second half, they have had the reverse gear selected, and they have been doing it the whole time. And the Bulls in the final, says Jimbo. As long as they win this line out, that is the big one. And I do think that no matter what happens here, if you are the Glasgow Warriors, you chuck a man up, because if they don't throw it straight, then you still get the scrum. But you can see there, the Bulls head coach looking nervous, watching on for this game. And the Bulls, and there as well. Right, line out here. If it is won by Johan Krobela and his side, he throws it in. Was it straight? The referee says yes. It wasn't the straightest thing we've ever seen, but the ball is kicked in a touch, and the Bulls win this contest. 21-3 at one point for the Bulls, and at that stage we saw many Bulls supporters saying, nah, we give up, we're not playing this game. And Glasgow, congratulations, but look at what they've done from there. They have dug deeper than their fan base. They have dug deeper than maybe they even thought they could at Murrayfield. And with the Pollard misses too, they have still found a way of winning by the 1 point. The Glasgow Warriors season is over. The Bulls have booked themselves through to the final. And now it's that question, Leinster versus the Stormers. The winner of that game will host the final. The question is, which one is it going to be? That game is kicking off in about an hour and 20 minutes time. It's actually quite a long break between the matches, to be fair, but we are going to be covering that next one on the channel too, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are sticking around, of course, be sure to tune in for that one. We will be starting in about an hour with around a 15 to 20 minute build-up of that contest. Go Pollard, says bloke. But I think Ambros Papia would be very much so earning of a man of the match. Or I actually think that Johan Krobela definitely deserves a big shout for what he was able to do throughout the contest as well. Thanks, mate. Greetings from Germany. Get well soon. Says Steve there. And thanks, Hamish says, Luke, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to the 100,000 subscribers. So if you do want to help us get there, be sure to hit that button. I swear I don't normally sound like this. I am just unfortunately sick. But we're doing another all-nighter. That next game coming just around the corner. And again, I'll mention it. At that stage when they were 21-3 up, I mentioned a certain game. That was the contest between Leinster and La Rochelle, where Leinster had the big lead, La Rochelle fought back. That is exactly what the Bulls did. And you wouldn't have even thought it was the same side that were playing in the second half of this contest for the Bulls. They just seemed to play much better, and the gain line success. You know, Marcel Kutsia, Elric Lowe, Cameron Honeycomb, they were making meters every carry that they had, whereas on the other side of the equation for Glasgow, the only time that they made those meters was when they kept on firing it out wide. Oh, we have got there. Thanks, Hamish. Says Daryl, no worries at all. Cheers, Hamish. Quality commentary as always. Says Operator, thank you very much. And lick at the ball, says Adri. And there as well. I guess the Bulls found 15 players at halftime, says Minky. Yeah, nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. The next game, Stormers versus Leinster, that is happening at the Aviva, and that one will be kicking off in around an hour and 15 minutes' time. There's a look of disbelief on the face of some of these Glasgow Warriors players. Is Haino happy? Well, he was actually one who said they had no chance of coming back to win it. He had given up on his side 20 minutes into this contest. So I don't even know if he finished watching this game or not. But hopefully he did. Would have been thoroughly enjoying the final moments where they were able to get the victory. Warriors tries came against 14 men. Says Jimbo. The Bulls through the final. Says CSW. And at this rate, I'm not sure what Pollard will contribute at the World Cup. I need something stronger than Brandy now. Says Adri. And there too. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well. And I will see you all for the next one.